Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary. We've got a great show for you today on Talkback Tuesday. Let's take a look at the recap screen, though, before we bring in the stars of the show. Mikey B, just on fire. I don't know. Maybe the chat can tell me if he hit the parlay for the third time in a row, but we did hit the parlay he gave out as an official pick, of course. Oh, I guess that would have been the play. He didn't give out an extra parlay. Anyway, 2 for 2 for Mikey B. Larry Hartstein goes 1 for 2, laying that 19.5. How about that? That one comes in. SportsLine pick doesn't come in. Mike McClure's pick doesn't come in. We go 3 and 3. Not a great day, not a terrible day. Let's see if we can improve upon 500, though, with John Eimer, with Tom Casale, and with Jeff Hochman. Wow, look at buckets. What's going on? It's a new look for you today.
You're talking about the Copa del Rey this afternoon, or what do you mean?
Tom Casale, how you doing today? We've got championship season underway. You got to be as excited as can be at this point. We got all the small conference tournaments starting up.
Yeah, I'm excited. You know, I've been betting college basketball since early November, every night. And I think it's the same in any season, whether it's Major League Baseball, college basketball. You get to a point where you're like, all right, let's get to the postseason, right? That's kind of where I am right now, because the postseason gives you a different dynamic to bet. Like these conference tournaments are in neutral courts. And so I'm looking forward to it. I think one of the things I'll say, though, if you're and I'm gonna be a stickler on this. I know people don't want to hear it. If you enjoy upsets, if you like value and taking a long shot, this ain't the time for you. I'm just telling you. You look at teams like Arizona and Michigan and Duke; they don't lose. You tell me all the value that they, I'm going to take this team on the road at home because they got value against Duke, but they lost by 30. So I just don't know if we're going to see a bunch of upsets in the conference tournament. So that would be just weary taking a Texas to win the SEC.
It's interesting, and we'll get to a lot of college basketball later on in the show. But we've got some people saying, Jeff Hochman, that Buckets looks homeless, and then others saying Buckets looks very studious and mature. Jeff, can you weigh in on this? Because Buckets didn't want to acknowledge the new look.
I'm going with the latter. I think Buckets looks studious, professional, and, he's super sharp. So this look just makes him look even more super sharp. And by the way, Sia, I know there's 2 tournaments in golf this week.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Well, there's actually 4 tournaments. I mean, we've got the So what you're talking about is we got the API, which is a signature event, early wedge tonight, 7:00, everybody. But then we've got an alternate event, the Puerto Rico Open, which I love betting those because you don't have the high flyer names and you can go down the board and pick some outrights that a lot of people, frankly, haven't heard of. But then you've got the Live event, you've got the Joburg Open over on the World Tour. There's a lot going on. We'll probably have some silly parlays tonight. Did you have a follow-up question, though, Jeff, in light of that question?
Well, for the one and done tournament, because I just got an alert saying I need to make my picks. Which tournament will be on that?
That's going to be the Arnold Palmer Invitational. This is a single event. You want to pick everybody. Don't forget to put your Splash Sports pick in. You want to pick a good golfer because the purse here, the winning, the winner's going to get, I think, between 3.6 and 4 million. So Jeff, pick somebody that is like inside that top 10 of names for sure.
And is John going to roll the dice today or tomorrow?
It's going to be tomorrow. Buckets, you're on tomorrow, right? You got to roll the dice tomorrow to pick your guy.
Yeah, I got to have Mike here to tell me that it's going to be good and work out, and then maybe it will, maybe it won't. Who knows?
All right. Well, let's see if your 2 soccer bets work out. Give us a couple picks for a Tuesday.
Absolutely, Sia. As I'm sure that you are most aware of, we do have EPL action as well as Cup action this afternoon. So I've got a bet for 2 of those matches, starting with the Premier League matchup as Bournemouth will be hosting Brentford. And if history tells us anything about these 2 sides, then goals should be on the menu. Because when these 2 teams clash, and for some reason they clash a lot, we always see goals. If you look at the last 6 times they've played each other, dating back to 2003, the scorelines have been 2-2 draw, 2-1 Brentford, 3-2 Brentford, 2-1 Brentford, 4-1 Brentford, and a 2-0 win for Brentford in the EFL Cup. I absolutely adore both teams to score in over 2.5 goals at -115. Maybe a little bit of juice. Not for me. I'm fine taking that, but I know it's not for everyone. But when you look how these teams play head-to-head, and then if you look how Brentford's playing in general right now, this is a team that with players like Sade and Thiago, they have a tremendous attacking front, but their backline is a little fragile. So I'd be careful trying to bet on an under of this one in a game that I expect to see 3 or 4 goals. Then I go to the Copa del Rey second leg as Barcelona are hosting Atletico Madrid. And this is a very tough one for a lot of people because Barcelona lost the first leg 4-0, which means they have to overcome a gap of 4 goals in the second leg, which is damn near impossible for anyone except maybe Barcelona or Bayern Munich. But when I'm looking at this game, I'm looking at a line that I rarely look at, and that is the corner market. I'm taking Barcelona to have over 8.5 corners by themselves with no help from Atletico Madrid at -110. They got 8 in that first leg in which Atletico Madrid was pressing, but in this matchup, to protect their lead, they're going to play 11 in the box. They are going to park the bus on the back line, and they're going to let Barcelona take pot shot after pot shot at them as they go to try to make up this deficit. I would not be shocked if Barcelona end up with 70% possession, 12 corner kicks, and let's say 28 shots. I don't know if they're going to win, or I think they'll win. I don't know if they're going to qualify, but I'm expecting the corners to be raining down from this Barcelona side. Sia.
All right, we got a couple of picks here. Jen asks if Buckets knew that he made a Christmas Story reference. I missed it as well. Buckets, was there a reference thrown in there on purpose?
Like about Christmas?
Yeah, I guess not. I guess the answer to that is no. Yeah, Buckets, no.
No, I don't know what. If it's not, I don't know what you're talking about, Jen. Sorry.
Ray Garcia says Buckets Atletico Madrid team total over 1.5. Any thoughts?
Boo, Ray Garcia. We do not like that bet because I want Barcelona to win. And Atletico Madrid score in the first half, Barcelona probably start trying. So if that hits, my bet most likely doesn't. So Ray, I get the logic behind it. It's probably great value sitting at like +250 if I had to guess, but not something I'm going to be taking here.
All right, fragile apparently is the reference that Jen was talking about. I didn't get the reference either. Can I ask the chat a question? Because I was talking to Jeff and Tom Casale. And Tom, you're going to go next. You're going to give out a play on Cincinnati. I was asking Tom and Jeff before the show started what they thought about North Carolina -3.5 at home against Clemson. I know I bet against North Carolina. What was it, a week and a half ago when they played Louisville? I was obviously wrong about that as they lost that, or they won that game. I kind of like North Carolina laying the points here. This is not an official play. I just want to know where the chat weighs in here. And Tom and Jeff, we can get your opinions later on in the show on that game. But again, Carolina laying 3.5 at home, senior night. Not that that matters too much. Big game in terms of getting the double bye in the ACC tournament. Obviously, Duke is on deck for North Carolina. Let me know if you like North Carolina or Clemson in the chat. Tom, you like the Cincinnati Bearcats.
Yeah, we're at the end of the season now, so you're not getting a ton of line value anymore. I did think Cincinnati, based on how the two teams are playing right now, should be closer to -2.5, -3 on the opening number. Since BYU lost Richie Saunders, you knew that was going to hurt them because they're not a deep team. They don't have a ton of scorers. And they don't play defense. And I think that's where the matchup bodes well for Cincinnati, who's healthy now, who's 5-1 in their last 6. They're playing better. But when they struggle, like they lost at home a while back to West Virginia in one of those grinder games where they couldn't make a shot, and that's where they struggle a little bit. And I don't think that's going to be a problem facing the second worst defense in the Big 12, which is technically the worst because whatever Oklahoma State is doing, I don't even count that. But so you're going to get easier buckets. Plus Cincinnati's defense, I think, is good enough to at least limit and control BYU at home. Short number. Cincinnati, listen, still playing for a spot in the tournament. I like them at home tonight.
Yeah, I like this one as well. There's a question. I'm sure there's a lot of college basketball questions, which we're going to get to right here on Talkback Tuesday. But there was a question from Daniel Casey, Tom, about, let's see, TCU +9.5 at Texas Tech tonight at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, I may have given out that game at a better number. 9. It went down. It went down overnight. It was up 10.5. Listen, I kind of like TCU a little bit here for a couple of reasons. Texas Tech has been playing great without Toppin, but they're coming off a real emotional upset win at Iowa State. So I think they regress a little bit here. And TCU's been very good as an underdog this year. They're a weird team, right? They beat Florida. They almost beat Michigan. They should have beat Kansas, winning the overtime. So they kind of play up to their competition. They've covered 4 of the last 5 in this series. I could see this being a tighter game and them staying within a number here.
All right, Jeff, I want to get your you don't have an opinion on that game, do you, by the way?
Yeah, I do. I like TCU plus 9.5. My model really likes it. Thinks it should be 8, so not a ton of value. But for everything that Tom said and my model agreement, TCU is the play tonight.
And for the record, because I don't want to just leave everybody hanging, Jeff, your model also kind of leaned toward Clemson in that UNC matchup.
Yeah, it likes Clemson at +3. If you can get +3.5, even better. But yeah, the confidence rating was an 8 out of 10. So that's a strong play from my model as well.
And Tom, you agree? It's pretty much 3.5 everywhere at this point, is my understanding, just based on a recent look. Tom, you like getting the points there?
If it's 3.5, yeah. If it dips under a possession there at 2.5, but I think that's a pretty good number. To be honest, for that game, Clemson's going to try to slow that right down and bludgeon them to death. But that's a tough one, I think, at that number.
Yeah, I like UNC. I'm telling you all, and it's funny because I'm the one that bet against UNC last week, and I don't make a lot of college basketball bets. I do like UNC laying the points there. We'll see if I end up making that an official play on SportsLine. I certainly don't want to be betting against Tom and Jeff Hochman. There's some golf questions in the chat, which I'm going to address, especially as it relates to Matt Fitzpatrick and Colin Morikawa. The pick I gave out yesterday was on Colin. That number, I didn't think it was going to move dramatically. Well, it has on both of those guys. Not only their top 20 numbers, but their outright numbers as well. And like really dramatically, actually. So a lot of people betting those two guys. If you have golf questions, I'm going to get to them later on in the show. Don't forget about the early wedge tonight at 7 o'clock. And also, don't forget about what BetMGM has to offer to this March season, but also tonight. This March, BetMGM is sending fans to Vegas. Opt in and place bets of $10 or more and earn leaderboard points based on your winning bets. 25 winners total will score a VIP trip to the Court of Legends with the Cavender twins, plus a 3-night stay at MGM Grand and Resort credit. Also, with BetMGM's hat trick jackpot, you have the chance to win your share of $10,000 in bonus bets. Just place an anytime goal score wager, and if your guy scores 3+ goals during that game, you will win a share of $10,000 in bonus bets. All right, we also have a SportsLine pick before we get to more picks and questions from this panel. Cason Wallace, I think that says Carson, but Cason Wallace over 19.5 points and assists at -128. That one courtesy of prop bet guy. Again, Wallace over 19.5 points and assists -128. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to get to soccer questions. We got to get to Jeff Hochman's official pick, some of your golf questions in the chat. We're going to do all of that right after this message from our partners.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
We're back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary. Scott Edwards, he says, kind of a special day, celebrating his 60th birthday with the Early Edge fam. If you haven't already, wish Scott Edwards a happy birthday in the chat. Put it in the YouTube comments. Those YouTube comments could always use some positivity. So wish Scott Edwards a happy birthday there as well. It'll make it permanent. Buckets, Jeff Stenberg wants to know, how do we feel about Tranmere? Team total over 1.5 plus 125.
Do you even try?
Tranmere?
Tranmere?
Tranmere? Is it really Tranmere? I would have never
Tranmere taking on Newport. Yeah, Jeff. Let's have a little conversation here one-on-one. I like the team total. I think plus 125 is a very playable line when you're playing the worst defense and worst team in League Two. But Jeff, what I like more, and I want your feedback on this because maybe we can do a little Jeff, John collab here. Both teams' score is -110. It has hit the last 8 consecutive fixtures every time they've played since 2022. 1-1, 1-4, 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, 4-2, 3-1. I feel like both teams' score might be looked there. I know it's not a plus number, Jeff, so you'll probably say no. But let me know if you want to make something happen there on BTTS for that match.
I would have said the same thing about Tranmere. Buckets, do you like Yamal to score an assist at plus 550?
Ooh, there we go, Thomas. Yes, I love
Do you even try anymore, Bucky?
Do I even try anymore? What are we doing, guys? What are we doing? No, this looks worse without the glasses. Holy hell. Okay, I do like Lamine Yamal to score or assist. He's asking about that Barcelona versus Atletico fixture we talked about early. If Barcelona is to qualify, they have to do it because of Lamine Yamal's performance. There's no Robert Lewandowski available, which means that the guy who has the highest goal contributions for this Barcelona side has to keep contributing goals here. His to-score line is plus 100. His assist is plus 130 if you want to maybe play both of those separately. But I like throwing them together at a long shot at plus 150. I think that's a great shout for a guy who has shown multiple times he's capable of doing just that.
Did you just say contributing and plus 150? I feel like I heard both of those things.
I think you're gaslighting me, Sia, and you're trying to take me down a peg because I'm so smart now.
He said contributing.
I don't know.
Okay. Either way, before we get to your pick, and I'm going to let you comment on this if you like as well. You've got a college basketball pick and you've got an NHL pick, Jeff. But Tom, let me ask you about Ray Garcia has a bunch of questions, most of which we've handled. But one that's really interesting is he's asking about UCLA money line. That game at 11 o'clock tonight, UCLA hosting Nebraska. That's a really tricky line, even more tricky than I think this North Carolina one. I think the temptation would be to take Nebraska on the road. Nebraska's been out on the West Coast because they just played USC, so maybe the travel isn't quite as big of a deal. I'm just speculating. Any thoughts on Nebraska, UCLA?
Yeah, I like UCLA a little bit here at home. UCLA has only lost one game at home. I've bet UCLA once all year. It was that game, if you can believe it, in double overtime to Indiana. But their home and road splits are pretty big. UCLA plays a lot better at home. I think it's a pretty good matchup. Listen, I think it's going to be a tighter, lower scoring game. Slight lean to UCLA at home. They've been playing better over the last month. I'm not going to ding like UCLA for losing to teams like Michigan State because the top of the Big Ten is much better than the middle part of the Big Ten. But UCLA has been beating some of these other teams. I think it's going to be a good game tonight.
All right, Jeff, any thoughts on that? And then hit us with Alabama.
Yeah, I don't like that game. I stayed away from it. I think the line is just about right, so I'm going to stay away. I have one college and one NHL. See ya. Thanks. I'm going to go with Alabama plus 2.5. When I put it in at SportsLine, it has shifted. It's down to minus 1.5 for Alabama, which I still like. Look, my model has it at minus 4.5. We know Alabama's offense, they are humming. They find easy looks at the rim and from beyond the arc. The Crimson Tide shoots 77% from the free throw line, 63% from downtown. You look at Georgia, they struggle shooting from deep. They rank 215th nationally, and they rarely grab offensive rebounds. They rank 347th in that category. The market is overvaluing Georgia's home court advantage, in my opinion, and they're overlooking their weakness in three-point shooting and rebounding. Georgia shot 40% from three in a win over South Carolina on Saturday, and they rarely put back-to-back efficient shooting games together in a row. So I don't like that spot for Georgia. And look at Alabama's schedule. They are battle-tested. They have the second-ranked overall strength of schedule, 9th in non-conference action. And on the flip side, the Bulldogs are 59th overall, 326th in non-conference strength of schedule. So this is a very strong system to play the team that had the harder strength of schedule this time of year. And the Tide have feasted on teams without much height while struggling against taller teams. Georgia is certainly not a tall team. My model, like I said, 4.5 point favorites for Alabama. So we're going to take Alabama tonight. And keep in mind, the game starts at 6:30 Eastern.
Okay. But by the way, because you mentioned that it's minus 1.5, you can still get the money line in that minus 110, minus 115 range, because that minus 1.5 is plus money in a lot of places. So just an FYI there. But obviously, if you're a SportsLine member, you got Jeff's play at plus 2.5. We got more college basketball to talk about. But Jeff, talk to me about the Colorado Avalanche tonight.
Colorado Avalanche. Now, they played last night. That's okay. They're minus 145 on the money line. Now, I put this in at SportsLine after they played the Kings last night. The money line was minus 160. So I opted for the minus 1 at minus 105. I think minus 145 is a terrific line, and here's why. This is a spot that I look for a lot in the NHL. since I've been handicapping since 1998. Colorado lost to the Ducks 2-1 in an overtime shootout on January 21st in Denver, despite outshooting Anaheim 41-16. The Avs are one of two teams, along with Chip Patterson's Hurricanes, with an over plus 400 shot differential. Colorado has an elite high danger differential, plus 40. They're 11th in faceoff win percentage, which is their best mark in many years, and why I think they're going to be in the NHL finals this year. Now, there is some concern. Colorado played last night, but the trip from Los Angeles to Anaheim, Staples Center, Crypto to Honda Center is 30.5 miles. It's not like they have to get on a plane and travel 2-3 time zones. The Avalanche are 4-5 this year when they play without rest, but this is a very deep team, and I think they're going to get the job done. I'm just going to trust one of my most profitable hockey systems that I have used over a very large sample size. And Colorado, they're 8-2 in their last 10 meetings against Anaheim. And like I said, they had that revenge from earlier this season. All over Colorado, minus 145. That's a banger.
1998, you say? So
Yes.
best movies that came out in 1998, or at least some famous movies. As you were talking, I looked it up. Titanic, Saving Private Ryan. There's Something About Mary. Waterboy came out in 1998. And Armageddon came out in 1998, along with A Bug's Life. Buckets, you had something.
Had what?
Exactly. Okay. Tom Casale, talk to me about UNLV money line, because that's another game that's at 11 o'clock tonight. Do you have any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, UNLV's playing better. Just the money line, that's a big one.
Oh,
the line
not
opened
money
8.5.
line. Yeah, against the spread.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Let's not do the money line.
Yeah, no, it opened 8.5. I was actually going to consider it at 9.5, but it opened up a little less than that, and then it dropped down to 7.5. I think this is going to be an interesting game. You know, I'm not a big fan of Josh Pastner, the head coach at UNLV, but he's got the team playing a little bit better now, especially at home. I think that could be a close game. I lean taking the points there.
Buckets, Everton, Burnley, both teams to score is even money.
Oh, it is. It really is. This was almost one of the plays I had for the show, but it's just so tough to trust Burnley to do anything. They did just score 3 against Brentford, so they are clearly capable of it, and they're in a relegation scrap, so they need to score. But Everton is just such a frustrating side because they love playing for these cagey, physical 1-0 kind of games. Steve, I do think it hits. I don't like betting on Burnley at the moment, but I think it's a great shout, especially at even money. If that was like minus 130, I probably won it, but with a plus sign in front of it, I'd go for it.
Aikman says, great call, Jeff. Bama is the pick of the day. Stephen Cuccarelli says, bash that like family. And Big Cheesy says, Alabama State minus 1.5, minus 110. Tom, I don't know if you have an opinion on that one, but Buckets, you had something this time, I think.
Do you hear that?
No.
Do you hear the pitter patter, the little sounds off in the distance of a live bet in the Azerbaijan Cup going on this morning? Do you hear that?
I actually did hear that.
I thought,
did hear that.
Yeah, I could see you were mouthing Zira FK versus Sumgayat first half goal at plus 120, and I was going to say, Sia plus 120. Surely you know it's a cup game, so it's kind of crazy. And you were going to respond by saying, Buckets, Zira's playing their best starting 11 for some reason this cup fixture, and they have scored 3 goals against Sumgayat. They are dominating in recent fixtures. They're dominating currently with already 3 corners and a lot of possession. I agree with Sia here. Sia's live bet on the Azerbaijan Cup that we'll get a first half goal in this Zira game at plus 120. Sia, great shout.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Tom, do you have any thoughts on Alabama State minus 1.5? Anytime it's from Big Cheesy, I start to consider it.
Yeah, I don't have a huge opinion on that game. That's not a conference I cap a lot. I mean, I look at it. So I would go with Big Cheesy on that one.
Jeff, I know you're on Alabama. Did you look at Alabama State?
I stay away from that conference, just like Tom.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's see. Tom, Seton Hall minus 1.5 at Xavier. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, boy, Xavier's a tough team to read. It really depends on how they shoot from the perimeter. Seton Hall's defense is good. You know, has a really good perimeter defense. I don't think it's a great matchup for Xavier. I don't love taking Seton Hall on the road. I think they're better when they're in the underdog role, but I would lean Seton Hall.
All right, Gipper's pick says NHL no goal first 5 minutes, Utah versus Washington, and Chicago versus Winnipeg plus 107. I can't tell. Is that a parlay? Are you putting those two together? Jeff, do you ever make those no goal in like the first period or first 10 or anything like that?
Yeah, usually no. See, I'm looking for, spots with side selections, and I have been dabbling with first quarter overs for some of our members that have asked me in the Discord, and I've been doing pretty well with those. But in general, I'm a sides guy in all sports. So yeah, I'm not. Yeah, well, maybe Proppy can come on and give a prop for an NHL game. But yeah, the first 5 minutes with Utah Washington, I would lean no goal in that one because Utah is coming off a shutout loss, and they have a really good defense. Washington, not so much, but 5 minutes no goal, you'll probably cash more often than not with that wager. And then Chicago versus Winnipeg, I don't like either team, so I'll pass on that one.
All right. Zach Kasenki reminding everybody the early wedge is tonight at 7 o'clock. We'll not only have picks for the API, we'll have Puerto Rico picks as well. He says, do we like Matty Schmid over at Puerto Rico? Top 20 plus 186. Well, Matty Schmid's one of my outrights, so I don't mind that. Plus 186 is a pretty good number for the top 20. So I think I'm in on that. Michael Heimsmith says, Sia, thoughts on Ryan Fox, first round leader? I got to wait for tee times to come out. It's only a 72 person field, so the tee times aren't as scattered necessarily as they would with a full field event. Nonetheless, I'm probably going to lean toward morning tee times. And because we don't have tee times until probably the next 3 or 4 hours, I'm going to hold off on giving out first round leaders. Although I do think Ryan Fox is a decent look for that. Buckets, what are your thoughts on Leeds versus Sunderland? Both teams to score even money.
You guys know how much both teams to score. There was another question asking, and Zira scores a goal in the Azerbaijan Cup at plus.
That was
Sia, round
fast.
of applause to Sia Nejad. He knows his Azerbaijani top flight footy leagues. Let's go, Sia. The both teams to score bet is very tricky because there was another question from Dylan Barakat saying, do we like under 2.5 goals? This game currently is juiced to the under. It's minus 150 that we'll get under 2.5 goals. So the books think that we're not going to see goals in this game, and I understand the logic. This is one of those two newly promoted sides. Neither team wants to take a lot of risk, but we have so much head-to-head data to look through for these clubs, and we have a Sunderland side that is kind of falling apart without Granit Xhaka in the lineup. And even when he's back, this team's going to have an adjustment period that they're going to have to figure out here. I do think both teams to score hit, but weirdly enough, I also think under 2.5 goals is going to hit. I've got a 1-1 scoreline prediction. I don't have a model. I'm not smart enough, even though the glasses might fool you. But going off the vibes here, a 1-1 final score sounds right to me, so everyone's happy.
I wasn't fooled, Buckets, but Steve Lochner is saying, love me plus money plays. Buckets the GOAT, even if he just rolled out of bed. Ian Lights Out says, go.
I'm not the GOAT. I can't emphasize enough that was Sia's bet. So thank you to Sia.
What's going on here?
I don't need the love from
nothing
this.
Here.
Yeah.
A lot of people hit that bet. They got on it right away. So you're welcome, everybody. Big Lebowski, best movie of 1998, says Ian, but Truman Show came out in 1998. That was I was literally talking about that movie yesterday. I kid you not. Jeff, go before we get to the recap screen.
Yeah, I mean, just mentioning 1998, wow, that really draws some good comments. Half Baked was a movie that people were mentioning. And I mean, it's a silly movie, but I thought Jim Brewer was really funny in that movie.
Tom, have we brought up a movie that intrigues you from 1998?
Oh, I love The Truman Show.
Yeah. Rounders apparently came. I haven't fact checked this, but Rounders came out in 1998. Yep. Gosh, so many good movies came out. Like, somebody made the comment, I hate to sound like old man get off my lawn, but like, it doesn't feel like great movies are coming out, just like action stuff. And that's what I'll be
the old man. I'll be the old man. These movies stink.
They're terrible. So Buckets, awful. You're the young man. Are we just being old?
No.
Okay, so that's a yes. Let's get to the recap screen and we'll get everybody out of here. Bournemouth versus Brentford, both teams to score plus over 2.5 goals, minus 115. And Barcelona versus Atletico Madrid, Barcelona over 8.5 corners, minus 110. And of course, Bucket's already cashed for you. He's already 1-0 on the day. Cincinnati Bearcats money line minus 126. That one courtesy of Tom Casale. Listen to the whole show. If you just got to the end, just make sure you listen to the whole show because we must have talked about 10 to 15 college basketball games throughout the duration of this one on Talkback Tuesday. Alabama plus 2.5, minus 115 from Jeff Hochman. He also likes the Colorado Avalanche money line minus 145. And I got to say it. I was really leaning towards North Carolina -3.5. I'm not going to do it, so I don't have an official play, but we do have the Cason Wallace over 19.5 points and assists, -128. That one courtesy of Prop Bet Guy. Wow. That was a great show. A little trip down memory lane, down 1998 lane, thanks to Jeff Hochman with all those movies. The Parent Trap apparently came out in 1998. Now we're just naming random movies, Big Cheesy. Jeff Hochman, thank you. Tom Casale, John Eimer. I think that's John Eimer behind those glasses and that hair. And of course, Ben on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. It's been a great day. Let's continue to make it a great day. Let's cash some bets along the way. Ladies and gentlemen, for now, we rest our case.